Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome in to the Cluster Puck Podcast, part of the MHRT Network here at Center Ice. I am Nick. Here in the studio, there she is. There's Brit. Just getting some stuff figured out there. But how are you doing, Brit?
It's like throwing me a hint that I probably should have put a little more effort into looking nice today.
All good. We all remember what you look like. So,
Homeless. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, man. It's we've come off a good note for the Avalanche. Big win against the Ducks, so that's always a reason to be happy. So, okay. Well, before we begin, don't forget everyone to like and subscribe, follow the MHRT Network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. You can follow them at the MHRT Network on their various platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, the good stuff. And if you want to follow us, you can follow us specifically at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook, and then Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter /X, Instagram, and Threads. Okay, so with that aside, let's kind of take a deep dive here into the last week because, wow, what a roller coaster weekend that was.
Hoping my camera kicks in like it did the one time. So
nope, you're good. We can hear you just fine. So okay. as long as we got the voice, that's all we need.
Yeah. So yeah, yesterday that happened. It's hard to come here and complain too much when you just about put up double digits on a team. Granted, right? But they're still an NHL team, so.
Yeah, and one that had a lot. What did they say? 6 third period comebacks.
Yes. So and that's what
15 games.
The Avs lost a lot of people, a lot of money because when it was still relatively close there, like in the second, a ton of people like smashed bets for the Ducks to come back, and then we basically destroyed them. I mean, I've never seen such a solid ass kicking. Other than when Vegas beat us. So
yeah.
Or our previous losses. Those were the next closest butt kickings that I've seen.
Yeah, I'd agree. And it's just so weird this last week that happened because it's like I think like so I guess let's kind of go game by game just so I can gather my thoughts here. So the 9th, right? So a week ago today.
Oh, hi.
Oh, there you are. Hi. A week ago today, they played the Kraken at home, lost that game 4-3 because I think Oliver Bjorkstrand scored with like 30 seconds left.
Yeah, that
and
hurt.
It's one of those you have to throw your hands up in the air and just say, what else can you do? You did as good a job as you could, but it's just one of those that
start the game on time. I'm so sick of us chasing the game. And it's fair to admit at this point that Frankie's played some really crappy games, but he seems to really feed off the team's energy. And we just can't start a game. We cannot score the first goal ever. It's unreal.
Yeah. And I think at this point, you might as well expect it and even ask for it at this point, because then otherwise the Avalanche just don't seem to play for anything. So, it just that Kraken game was very frustrating for a number of reasons. Yeah, and that's the thing is like you play.
Then when I hear the Cale, like, oh no, that was at home, but the Cale Makar booing, like I will never be able to enjoy a Kraken game. Like no matter if we're winning 25.
Well, the good news is we're not seeing them again, so that's a plus.
Interesting scheduling choice to just play them all like in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't get it. This year's schedule I feel like is even wonkier than last year's. But anyway, that whole Kraken game, I feel like you were, and when I say you, I mean the Avalanche, were just playing the Kraken's version of hockey, the way the Kraken usually play, which is dump, chase, get you tired, and then take advantage of these little rebound opportunities, and it works for them. That's the thing. And Dave Haxtell has a program set up so well there that it's a system that tends to beat the Avalanche. I don't know what it is.
No,
but it does.
We play down to it, and we just can't play that slow. And And it's not like it's like methodical or like super systematic. Like it really is kind of sloppy. Like it's just get it in there. It's a quantity over quality thing. And it just, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like Islanders vibes. Like it's just not fun.
Yeah.
It's not as like, it's not a commanding presence. Like the Islanders seems to be a little bit more kind of like in Dallas too. But like, it's just, ugh, I hate the Kraken so much, man. I really hate them. They're fake.
Man.
But we also, so was it that game that was that the Lehkonen hit ball?
That one was the Lehkonen hit. Yep. The one that sidelined him for, they said, week to week. So it could be 2 weeks, could be a month, could be 2. I don't know. And that's the big problem too. It's like we were doing so well with health. And we're still good. I mean, the only one we're missing is Lehkonen.
Someone always has to almost die in a Kraken game every time. Like almost, and then Cogliano went down again. Like they want to kill him. It's
very true. And that one was the upsetting part, was because there's a lot of missed calls in that game. You know, I don't know. I could go into it, but then again, you know, the refs see it one way. Of course, we as Avalanche fans would probably see it another for a call or two. But anyway, at the same time, you know, you need to break out of that slump. You need to not play the way the Kraken want you to play. And at the end of the day, they, you know, as soon as we tie the game, they kind of put them into this what am I trying to say? This narrative of, oh yeah, the Avalanche tied the game, we'll just go get another one, and they outmuscled you. They outplayed you. And it's, at the end of the day, it's one of those tough pills to swallow, but you have to move on. And move on they didn't, I should say, because the very next game, Avalanche hosts the Blues, and just, I don't even know.
It was I mean, comprehensively the worst game of hockey. Like Bednar said, I believe he said it's the worst hockey he's ever seen this team play. They completely gave up. It was like, it was really hard to watch. Like, it honestly, you would think that we were getting ready to like fire our coach or go on a rebuild or something. It was so concerning. Like, so concerning.
Especially when
we have such a fantastic team. There's no reason for us to be so I can't even think of the word. Like, it wasn't even like disengaged. It was like the opposite, like actively pouting the entire game, all of them. Every single one of them.
No, that's a good way to put it. And that's the thing. It's like, so St. Louis goes up, and the thing is, that first period, I felt like they honestly had the better team. And then as soon as everything just kind of fell apart in that second, they gave up. And the third period was just a joke. It might as well not have even been played.
Yeah.
Because they were just they were just like, you know, waiting for it to be done. They could have come back. There was a point where they had a chance. They were within 2 even.
And it's just Grubauer was in net for that one, right? And then
this was the St. Louis game, so I was Bennington.
Oh, St. Louis. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, and Bennington. Yeah.
And of course, like I said last week, you got to watch out for him to go in playoff mode. And sure enough, all he needed was one period, and he put the Avalanche out of commission for the whole game.
Did he play that well? I mean, did we really put hardly anything on him?
There were a couple of chances that I was like, you know, those were actually really grade A opportunities that he just happened to stop. But at the same time, you know, when you're not wanting to produce an offense to begin with, it does make Bennington's job easier, right? Yeah. So it's kind of a mix, an unhealthy mix of the two. But after that game, I was just
so lackluster that even he couldn't get up for it. Like, he didn't even, you know, there was nothing fun for him. There was no drama. I mean, there was no fight in us at all.
Yeah, it was just, and even Jared Bednar said it. He said that was one of the worst. I think he was just talking about the third period particularly, but he could even be referring to the game, and I'd still believe him, where he was like, that was one of the worst periods I've ever seen in my coaching tenure, which is just one of those eye-opening things, saying, I mean, you went through the 16-17 season and still that game had the worst period? That's saying something.
He apparently like has never bag skated. Like, he doesn't believe in bag skating. He says that it makes the coach feel good, but it doesn't do anything for the players. And somebody said something about like how you get right. Like, is anything like occurring in practice that's indicative of something like this happening. And he said, no, like work is not an issue in practice, but if you don't want to skate in the game, you're going to skate in practice. So I'd imagine they got their butts skated off the next day is what it sounded like.
Yeah. And honestly, good for Bednar and the coaching staff for doing that, because the problem is you've looked at the last 2 weeks, right? Excluding the last 2 games, obviously. And it's just been down, maybe an up or two, but just down seemed to be the trend. And so it's like you got to see, the repercussions that come from that. It's, even though the Avalanche have a good team, a very deep team, and the roster even shows, they need to realize that, it takes discipline to win the game. It takes focus. It takes the drive, the want to win the game that they just didn't have.
2 players with hat tricks. 2 players with hat tricks. Like how
Shen and Buchnevich.
Yeah, how can you sleep? And I don't know, maybe that's like the kick in the ass that they need to get a little bit of like to play with some, it's like some constants. I can't think of the word that I'm looking for. Nick.
Something.
But they need to play the same every week.
They need to play
the same thing every game. The word is going to drive me.
Yeah, the same energy. The same drive, energy, urgency. Yeah. So just jumping back here, Alex has a question as far as the hit on Arturi, if he thinks it was intentional, or we think it was intentional, how long it was going to be out. Like we said, it does say week to week, and obviously it was his head neck area, which is that's always a scary hit.
Brace. Somebody talked to his dad and said that he is doing well and he is in a neck brace. So it sounds like it's a neck injury, not a concussion. You would think it would have to be both.
Which you'd think that one would kind of come as default,
but it also might be super cautionary. I don't know, but
yeah. So as far as the hit being intentional, I think the push off was intentional. I don't think he intended to injure in that type of way. It happened to be him falling in the same type of pattern, one of those kind of fluke things that just
you could see
he was going down at the same time
when he saw the way that Lehkonen fell. I mean, he truly looked shocked that happened. So I don't think it was malicious, but it's just one of those reckless. Maybe just don't do it. Just but.
Yeah. So it's like you meant to push, but you didn't mean to injure, that type of thing. At least that's how I see it. Like, and Brit, it sounds like you agree. So, but bad news aside, the last 2 games, the Avalanche did finally realize they were doing something wrong. They were playing with broken sticks, as it were, and righted the ship by going right back to Seattle and winning the game 5-1 after, ergo, we don't need to say this, right? But ergo, giving up the first goal.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the thing.
Are we at 11 games in a row now?
10
11?
games in our last matchups.
I mean, when you think about that, spread out those playoff games over, that's like years of games against each other. So gross.
That's one of those things where you're like, this is embarrassing.
Yeah, it really
but
is.
At the same time, this was the type of game you needed. They had the type of possessions, the type of odd man rushes, the type of offensive zone creations that made them want to put the goal in, or the puck in the net, right? Yeah. Granted, Joey Decord was the goalie, but at the same time, that should not matter, right?
Was it Dostal, or Dostal was the Ducks and Decord
Dostal was for the Ducks, and because they were coming off of a back-to-back, and then Decord was for the Kraken. Okay. But the thing is, I feel like the big momentum sway in that Kraken game was the fact that the Kraken got their second goal to go up 2-0. They got it called back because of goaltender interference by Brandon Tanev.
I don't know if we would have won that game.
And I completely agree with you, because if that goal stood, obviously we'd be given a delay of game penalty. We'd go down a man again. Yeah. And who's to say with that Kraken power play what they could have done, right? So that was
at the end of the period, wasn't it? Why do we just have to let it?
It was pretty close. Yep. So they called that one back. We're only back down 1-0, and then Mikko Rantanen gets one of those grimy, grubby goals. Mm-hmm. And you have to get those, right? If you don't get the puck luck, you don't get the bounce, you don't get the effort, whatever it is.
Yeah.
then you're not playing for anything, right? There's no real reason, I guess, to do it.
Yeah.
And then at that point, Ross Colton gets a rebound, put her in, and it's
that guy
off
is
to the races.
a darling, like Ross Colton and Miles Wood, but like Ross Colton, that all the pictures of the smile on his face when he scores, he's like just like that Alex Ovechkin when he was like 20 vibes, where it's like every goal he scored is the best.
Every goal is like the best thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's fun. It's just because sometimes it's like we get into hockey and like these guys, you look at like Connor McDavid, and it's just like sometimes you wonder, like, are you having any fun? Yeah, is this fun for you at all? Because it is their career, but like the best hockey players, I feel like you have to find a sense of joy in it. Like Jack Campbell, I just keep thinking they need to just like let that guy go on vacation and stop playing him because they're ruining his life. But it's seeing him have so much fun is just like, especially when he celebrates it so like youthfully, it's adorable.
And that's exactly it. Sometimes, and it might be just a little thing that no one really thinks about, but it could be that a goal celebration such as the one that Ross Colton puts together when he's just so like, just super excited, that kind of pumps up the rest of the team. Momentum, or at least the guys that are on the ice giving the little hugs and stuff like that and the high five line.
He takes that with him though. I mean, he is such a happy person, like on the ice. He just seems like probably a huge positive addition to the locker room because these guys are looking real cranky sometimes. McKinnon,
they do
quite the crybaby here. Like Ali commented, we all love him, and I thought that the cup year that was something he had finally grown out of, but nope. But that one. So did you see the Kraken? I think it was from this game. The Kraken pod post that video of McKinnon getting slew footed. I mean, like quintessential,
blatantly.
Like, if you were doing a class on slew footing, you pull up this video and say, "Here's a prime example of a slew foot."
This is what a slew foot is.
yeah. It was pretty lucky that McKinnon didn't get hurt because it's so dangerous, and that's why it's a big.
It is a very dangerous thing. Yeah.
But he puts up his arms, which to me, like when I'm coaching my squirts, I always tell them if I see any of this, like I get so mad. I always tell them the ref knows what to call, which obviously we all know that's a lie, but I always tell them the ref knows if it's a penalty or not, and they'll call if it is. Putting your arms up doesn't help, but it's the same in the NHL. Like putting your arms up has never gotten someone a penalty called. Like ever.
And we've seen this last season, right? Where there's things against McKinnon where it clearly and everyone knows it's supposed to be a penalty, but the ref does not call it, right? McKinnon, what he will do
also shut up a little bit. The refs
will Rantanen too. Yep, you nailed it. They go to the refs to talk and complain about it. It's like, dude, he's already made up his mind.
Right.
You have to play the game.
Yeah. Especially
it's like
when the play is moving away from you, like a play that you could have still participated in, that you facilitated.
Exactly.
Like,
yep. I think of one last season. I can't remember who they were playing, but he got hooked or tripped. I think it was actually tripped.
What you're talking about.
And they took the puck and began an odd man rush. Had McKinnon not slowed himself up to be like, ref, what are you looking at? They could have stopped the odd man rush and had the potential to have them not go to the other end of the ice and score a goal in the same possession.
I wish I could remember what that was because I know exactly what you're talking about. I think
I know you do. I know you do, but I can't remember the team because I tried to suppress
that's definitely like a regression if he's going to make this a regular thing, which everybody's going to do it occasionally. He was bad about it. Like 4 or 5 years ago, he was bad, which, he just channeling his inner Sidney Crosby, but he seems to have, for the most part, grown out, but I do really, really hate that. It's a huge pet peeve of mine.
Yep. But either way, in this game, the Kraken go down and to the Avalanche 5-1. My personal highlight of the game that I do want to touch on is the fact that Jonathan Drouin nets his first goal in an Avalanche sweater.
All it took was me dropping him from my fantasy team. And then boom, he scored.
Which I realized you and I are playing each other this week.
Yes. Okay, so I'm having this huge issue where I go in and edit it and it doesn't save. So I don't know if I'm not saving it correctly. Like I've lost 2 weeks in a row because I'll have 2 or 3 days where I just don't update it at all. And also using Draisaitl as my first pick and the fact that he's just pretty much pooped the bed for the first month, he's got a lot of making up to do for me because I feel
is he in timeout for you? Is that what it is?
Pretty pissed. Right. I'm pissy.
I put players in timeout myself.
Yeah. So. Well, and then I have Lehkonen, so I had to put Lehkonen on IR, and I was like, oh, that feels real.
Yep.
Bummer.
But I'll text you or call you about it so we can figure out what's going on because we don't want to have any mishaps. But anyways, and then Val Nichushkin obviously gets on the board.
Yes,
he continues that streak into the following game. Avs win 5-1. We'll move on.
Yeah.
To the Ducks. This
goal,
game.
It was so nice to see Duran get a goal. God, I just want him to make
it. Really was.
Please, buddy, because he's so
well. And here's
every game he's missing the net a lot, but he has 2 or 3 chances. Like, you know what I mean? And they might not be any kind of like missed something on the score sheet, but there's always like some big thing that should have been another big thing, and it just wasn't. Like, I just really want him to work.
Yeah, exactly. And with Druin, in this Ducks game, I was looking for him particularly, right? Because I wanted to see how he and Nichushkin, right, would follow up that game in which they both had goals. With Druin, he didn't get any goals or even any points for that matter, but that didn't mean he actually wasn't noticeable. I actually noticed him quite a bit in this game. Yeah. But the problem is you win 8-2, people are going to score goals, right? They're going to get the attention. And boy howdy, if you want to say Joel Kiviranta with the best game of his life, maybe.
Well, the second best, other than when he beat us.
Well, in an Avalanche sweater. How about that?
I think we had 8 players with multi-point games. Like, I don't know what the record is, but it feels like that has to be close, right? Like 8?
14 different players had points.
And Georgiev got a point. He's one of them. So that's pretty cool.
I don't believe so.
What? I thought he did.
They took one of his away, and I want to say they gave it to McKinnon or something like that, or Miles.
I thought he had
just kidding. No, it's right. Never mind. I see it. It's right here.
Yeah.
I was looking at the wrong goal. Yeah, the one that Kiviranta scored with an assist from Sam Girard and Alexander Georgiev. Now here's the fun thing about this. I'm going to read off to you who scored in this game for the Avalanche. Sam Girard, Val Nichushkin twice, Freddie Olofsson, Ross Colton, Joel Kiviranta, Andrew Cogliano, Devon Taves. And that's it. Now, there are 3 very important names missing.
What do you think? Why did we lose? What was our biggest problem beyond health last year? Why did we fail so hard last year with the health issues? What was the problem, Nick?
For last year, you mean?
Yeah, we have somebody injured. And you bring
honestly, I just think it's who we replaced him with. Clearly, at least now it's kind of showing that it might be.
Yes, we had bad depth. We didn't have enough depth. And what scored everything yesterday? Who ran the freaking show? Our bottom
the fourth line
ruined the Ducks' lives. The Ducks just beat beat Vegas. I think that they're one of the ones that have beat Vancouver. Vancouver apparently is just going to go win the Stanley Cup like tomorrow. Or I'm going to wait around for it. They are just on the next level. I'm so excited. Not even excited. I'm just curious to see if they're real, but we know that McKinnon can score. We know that Rannon can score, but we're looking to see what we have in our depth. And this was the most reassuring game that you could ask for out of your bottom 6. I mean, it was just phenomenal. It was so good.
Yeah. And this one gave me the same vibes as the game that they played against Chicago earlier this year, where it was Avalanche the entire way. They controlled the pace, they controlled the flow, they controlled the puck. They won face-off percentage, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that was correct. No, they didn't win face-off percentage. But they held them 0-for-4 on the power play. Just, you couldn't ask for anything better, with maybe the exception of, score more on your power plays. But at the same time, 8-2, and all your goals are coming from, well, all but one are coming from an even strength situation.
Yep.
Got to
So
be
I'm
pretty proud
excited
of that.
to see a little Seth Jones. The games are like running; they're just blurring together for me at this point. But we got to see some Caleb Jones. Reassuring to see him. I mean, he's not incredible, but it's really nice to know that if and when we've got somebody to call up that pops. Sorry, I got the hiccups. That pops in easily and possibly replace Jack Johnson or interchange something like that. I did like him quite a bit. Sorry, these hiccups are awful.
Yeah, and they always come at the worst time, right?
Yeah, well, and all of our call-ups played well. I mean, everybody played well. There really wasn't anything too, concerning.
Yeah, like I mean, you look at Kiviranta.
Mm-hmm.
Again, first star of the game, right? From
Sure.
and it's like, well, obviously, right? He played amazing. And honestly, you look at the Kraken game, they had Sam Malinsky playing, and I thought he did a really good job. He was very noticeable.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And then obviously Freddie Olofsson, I kind of feel like he's kind of solidified himself in a pretty good spot with that fourth line. And Caleb Jones, like you alluded to, he will be there. He's going to be ready to answer the call, which is always a very reassuring thing when you have an injury or a depth problem happening where you need to maybe take a guy off, healthy scratch him, let him gather his thoughts, whatever. Caleb Jones is a fit replacement.
Yeah, and he's got NHL experience, so he's not going to come in like shaken and nervous. I mean, he's an NHL player, and he's just looking to find himself on a roster that has the top tier. It's hard to find yourself on this roster. So, yeah, it was definitely reassuring.
Yeah, and I think it was funny. So when he got the first star, right, he waves to everyone and he's heading off the ice.
Oh my gosh,
and they're like, whoa, hang on. First stars do the interview.
So bad.
And turns around.
I totally forgot I was going to text you about that interview. It was so weird.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like he's doing his best with his English, but the questions that were like, hey, how does it feel? And she kind of alluded to the fact like, hey, you put the Avalanche away in Game 7 when you were in Dallas in the bubble. And I was
That's why I'm trying to remember what the question was.
How does it feel playing in an Avalanche sweater? And it's like, okay, you could just ask the second part to that question. You didn't need to ask the first. But at the same time, he did a good job. He very generic answers.
So weird. I wanted to play it and I totally forgot to text you last night. It's making me crazy because it was
that's all right.
Does he have pretty rough English then? Is that
it's not that it's like rough. He can put together everything, sentences and understand and all that stuff just fine. It's he uses as simple as words as possible. And you can't blame him, right? He's from Finland.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty funny to just have him be like, it kind of like with Francois, where it's like, oh, winning is fun, and same type of vibe where he's like, yeah, I have good teammates.
I couldn't remember, or I couldn't tell, like if he was maybe being like a little bit, like almost like crabby, or if he just wanted to get out of there, if he doesn't like talking to the media, or what the deal was.
Yeah, it could be because you're talking to an entire American fan base, well, mostly American fan base. You probably don't want to flub up your English or something. I don't know, but yeah, he just kept it short and sweet, and I can't remember who it was. Kept asking him question, and finally she kind of got the hint. Like, okay, this is the last one now, I promise. But in all seriousness, though, he played an amazing game. Everyone really did.
Part were his goals and the Cogliano goal. Like, we scored so quickly.
We scored 3 goals in 2 minutes.
That was at that, like, finally by the last one, I was like, okay, I feel kind of uncomfortable about it now. Like, now I feel like we're just being rude.
Well, and you got to remember, right? Anaheim was coming. We were the second game of a back-to-back, right? So they were coming off a back-to-back, and they played Dostal. The whole team's tired, right? But that now goes to show that even though the Ducks can have these really glorious comebacks, have great games when they're playing every second day, a back-to-back seems to wear them out, which is a good thing to know, But at the same time, this one is kind of going to lead us in now to the next little bit where talking about this depth that we've had. We look at the 2022 season when the Avalanche won the Cup, right? We had depth. Now we look at this year, we have that depth again. And this game, like you alluded to, was that reassuring game showing the depth can play.
Oh, for sure.
What
you got right on the get right game.
Exactly. So what could last year's depth not do that this year's depth can, besides score?
I think it's just like that NHL player presence. I think we just had such an AHL mentality. It was just too unrefined, and these guys are coming in a lot more confident, willing to take a lot more risks, and just play with a heavier game than guys like Malinsky and Meyer. When you get too many of those, and like even Hudon a little bit, which granted I thought he was okay, but it's so like cliche to just be like the veteran in the locker room, or he's not that NHL, but like there clearly is something very distinct about the jump, even from the next level down the AHL up to the NHL. There's something so different that you can only attain mentally and physically when you play in the NHL, and you can't really even grasp what that is until you get there and do it. And you just see that so much more in most of these guys that we've got, even in like a Tufty. But when you've got Olofsson, Kiviranta, guys who have had not like a ridiculous amount of NHL time, but you can see just that
but
little
enough.
polish. Yeah.
Yep. And you're exactly right. I think it's because you can't get them too fresh, because there are those who answer the call, right? Like when Cale Makar, when we brought him up, scores game one, great, there are those. Yeah. But the problem is with the system that we had last year, where there were too many injuries happening at the same time, you had to quickly fill in and shoe in all these players, right? And some of them, even though they were their teammates on the Eagles organization, right, that same chemistry works in an AHL type setting, not maybe an NHL type setting. Sometimes it can, but NHL players know a lot better than AHL players. They are built different. They play different. Their brain works in a different way. So I think that was exactly what you said. You're bringing in too much fresh meat too early at the same time.
Right? It's just a polish, because when you think about the NHL, they're all the best hockey players in the world. And when you are looking at like the percentage game, so they're all like 99% of the best hockey player that you can be. Every 0.1% is such a drastic difference if you are 1% worse than I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like,
no, it does. Yeah.
There's every little thing is so important, and just being able to hone in on every single little detail, is not easy. Like it's nearly impossible. I mean, the fact that Connor Bedard is doing what he is doing right now is so unfreaking real. He's settling in. Like he didn't have too much at first, and now he's settling in. He's got 9 goals on the year. He's almost at a point, just short of a point where it's.
Well, and I could even extend that and say the first 3 picks for this season, right? Because Leo Carlson with the Ducks, he's been doing really good. He has a hat trick even.
Sorry, buddy.
And Adam Fantilli with the Blue Jackets. They're all doing very respectable for their first season. And it's one of those where, if you're those teams, you're like, well, this is a big breath of fresh air. And it's crazy that these 18-year-old kids can just surround themselves with so much, I guess, potential and talent, and have that talent themselves, right? But yeah, like you said, it's amazing to see just how those kids can do versus the ones we had last year. Some of them have left, right? Some of them were keeping down in the AHL to try and cook a little more.
Yeah, I think Ben Myers has been hurt off and on. I've been curious if we'd see a little bit more of him. Kind of feels like there might be like a fizzling out, but there can't be. Like there's no way that we could give up on him that easy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
so that means that, well, I guess let me ask this question first before dropping into this little piece of news. Are the Avalanche at a point where they have to have veteran depth for experience? Can they is that the only way they can function and be successful? Because we saw last year they made it to the playoffs as a first, and they won the Central first or second seed, excuse me. But the depth hindered the season. Right?
I freaking hope not, because it doesn't feel like Jack Johnson. I mean, we could be losing a whole lot of veteran voices in the locker room and the the ice. I mean, and I don't, maybe it's like the mom in me, but to me, Cogliano is always just one shift away from, being done. Jack Johnson, his longevity. And it's crazy because Gerard is not that old, but like to me, Gerard and Manson are two of our like more veteran kind of, like we have a lot of guys that we could be losing veteran voices. But I feel like we just have really, our depth is a good mixture. It's pretty, I mean, I'm trying to think, do we even have a single like actual rookie? Like,
I don't think so.
Short of what's his name?
Malinsky might, no.
But yeah, I mean, he would, but the thing is,
but a true rookie, you mean, right?
Yeah, and Malinsky is still, he's probably got to be like 24 or 25, right? That's the thing about him and Ben Meyer Poland is weird because they're older guys. They're college graduates, so they came later. So they're men, but they're somewhere in between there, but you'd almost think that could be kind of a problem too, because they're not young and moldable like mentally, where they might get scorned a little bit more. But yeah, I feel like we have a good mix on depth. I feel like there's one more thing coming. I don't know if that thing is going to require anything out, but I feel like we're definitely going to make one more move. My heart kind of says that I hope it's on the blue line, because just with Manson and Gerard Johnson, it would be nice to have one more like bona fide, solid veteran.
Maybe like Tyson Barrie. I'd love that, because he is struggling there in Nashville. He needs to go back to Colorado.
It would be so sweet. It sounds like Patrick Kane is going to Buffalo. It sounds like that's relatively solidified.
He's from there, so it wouldn't surprise me. And you're exactly right. I feel like it's blue line it's defense that you want to go after. You're right.
Yeah, I hope that the Patrick Kane thing isn't a thing for us. I just don't feel like that would be solving any problems, really. We don't need like goal scoring prowess, or we need stability and
Yeah. Well, and speaking of goal scoring, right? I mean, you even looked at it in this last game, like we were just talking about the depth. There's 3 players who did not score a goal, and that is Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, who didn't even have points in the game, and Cale Makar. Those 3. So you know what that means, right?
Well, and that's what I listened to a lot of the game instead of watching it last night before, and you like hardly even heard their names too. I mean, I swear it was
that's a good problem to have,
because we know that they're going to come back. We know the 3 of them haven't fallen off a cliff and are never going to score again, but we can't always guarantee what we're going to get out of our bottom 6. So like, that's so much more of a positive to see them than it is a negative to not see the 3. Like,
exactly.
And it's kind of nice for them to just be able to like take a little mental break, not a break, but just don't feel like
everyone's relying on them.
The second that McKinnon realizes that the whole game is on him, you can tell it's not healthy.
Yeah.
The way
I don't know, Brit. I mean, no goals for either of them. I say we look for trade options now. No goals in one game. This is outlandish, unacceptable.
Going to be here for you pretty soon.
Yeah.
Once the title doesn't resign.
That's a whole thing. We could talk about that for a long time, but
it's not
anyway. So that means. Sorry, go ahead.
It's not even fun anymore at this point. I'm just like really, really sad about it. Like, it's not fun. It was funny at first, but now I'm just sad. It's like, okay, stop. Just leave them alone.
So that means the only 2 people of the regulars who have not scored a goal for the team this year are Josh Manson and Tomáš Tatar, which you feel bad for that guy specifically, because he's had chance after chance and just
he's in and around everything, and he is just like soaring over the net, hitting the post. I mean, it's overused, but like the floodgate's gonna have to come. Like he's not non-existent, and people are like wanting to think that he's a total bust, but he's just not. If you watch the game, he is a part of it. He's not like actively hurting the team. It's not a score sheet thing.
Yep. And obviously, like, Caleb Jones, McDermott, Malinsky, Tufte, all those guys, they don't have goals either, but they are not some of the regulars like I was talking about. And that's the thing with Manson. I want him to go back to his 2022 self when he was traded here for the first time. He was great.
So happy when we re-signed him, and I was so happy. And now it's just like, who are you?
He's kind of almost turned like Eric Johnson-esque, where you're just like, you're out there, you're not making mistakes, but it's like, be more aggressive, do something different, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Well, I know. And then I worry too, his mom died this summer, and now his dad was just fired from the Oilers. He was one of Woodcroft's coaches. So that's got to be like some real bad vibes. Maybe his dad will come down and teach him, because I don't know if you know much about his dad, but his dad is a real mean. We talked about Josh Manson. I think on the player spotlight. We had
the player spotlight. I remember.
His dad is a dude that enough people don't know about. But I just hope that there's not, it's like hard to remember sometimes that these guys have home lives. Like they have kids.
Oh yeah.
They go home and cook dinner sometimes. Like it's weird, but I just, if there was anything that I could ask for out of this, if we could get the Josh Manson that we had, the Josh Manson that earned the $4 and I don't think any of it is by choice. I think his body has really just been the limiting factor. And I'm kind of scared at some point that he's going to be traded away to clear up cap space with a pick or something to clear it out. I don't know. I just hope he can get it together, if anything, at least in time for a cup run.
And that's the thing, is sometimes injuries, when you come back from them, you just don't come back the same. It's just one of those fact of life. You never, or I guess you
Peter Forsberg
typically don't come back the same. But in either sense, I know they'll get goals, both Tatar and Manson. They'll come, right? Probably more so for Tatar being a forward.
Yeah, and that's what I'm like. Even if we didn't get goals out of Josh Manson, if we just didn't get like gigantic plays that some of them are so hard to watch. And part of it too is we got to figure out the D pairings. I think there's going to be a little bit of changing there, especially if we get Jack Johnson off. I hate to say it, but like Caleb Jones opens up a lot more space and speed to cover for those pairings. Yeah,
no, I totally agree. But either way, it's good to see that we have the capability and that depth back that we were missing.
And they have got to come out and dominate again. Like we cannot keep going up and down and up and down and up and down. It's
exactly.
I'm very worried about the Dallas game Sunday.
Yep, and it looks like Avatar agrees with you. He looks like he's a little worried about the game too. I personally, I don't want to say I'm worried, but I just want to see how this plays out, just so I can make a better assessment of where they actually are, stuff like that. So
it's so up and down that it's like hard to even like gauge. Like, are we the best or are we like? It's so hard to gauge.
Was that losing thing just a phase? Is it like a part of us? Yeah, I get
and
you.
And how much of that feeling hinges directly on Georgie? Which, buddy, Frankie's gone. You better figure your shit out because we need you. And I don't, as much as I don't blame a lot of the goals that Prospatov let in, he's certainly not the game-stealing, Jordan Binnington backup going a run right now kind of goalie. So
yeah. But at the same time, he's still a very dependable backup, right? And that so not to detract from what you're saying as him being bad for those of you who are about to start keyboard warrioring the crap out of Brit.
He's not Frankie. I mean, we had a huge luxury in Frankie that we could put him in and generally still assume that we would win the game without any difference. Then it really never felt mentally different having him in net, other than when he wasn't healthy.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so diving into this look ahead here, we have the Stars on Saturday, we have the Predators on Monday, and the Canucks on Wednesday, and that'll be, and then Thanksgiving. Woo! So that Stars game, I guess, what are you going to be looking for the most? What is your key? What am I looking for here? What's the marquee matchup? Or
it's we need to come out strong, and then we need a constant pressure and no dips, and we need to score the first goal. Like, to me, they are poised to come out and make such a statement. If they beat us, it's going to make such a a vibe for the entire year because Dallas is like a sneaky, super, super good right now, but not that sneaky. Like when people are like, oh yeah, Dallas exists. And like they're super good this year because they are. They're very good this year. And the Oilers are just sucking up the Oilers and the Senators just taking up every single bit of media that it's almost like
all the attention.
Like Vancouver, like so there's teams just sliding under the radar that are lethal. And that's what like the Preds, whatever. Like we don't even really have to hardly discuss that game because Magic Shane's not, it's just but like Vancouver and Dallas, if we could win these next two games, I guarantee you that our odds, like the betting odds to win the Stanley Cup, shoot back up. And if we don't, they're going to go down because we're going to, it's going to have a huge effect on whether we're real or fake,
Yeah. Well, and not to mention the confidence.
Yeah.
Right. Because Dallas is, and this Dallas game, this is kind of my key to the game or thing to look for is it's a 4-point game, right? So for those of you who don't know what that term means, it means it's 2 points that could have gone to the other team that you are now swinging in your way, right? So yeah, even though it's 2 points you're dealing with, since they're in the same division, that's 2 points that the other team ain't getting that you are, right? So there go a 4-point game. So you have to realize you're going into a very hostile environment in Dallas, right? It is very difficult to play there.
Yeah.
You nailed it right on the head. There's more at stake and you need to play for it.
We've had so many games, even when we were like had a decent rivalry with St. Louis, we would have games off and on where we would kick their butts. Basically any team that we've ever had negative feelings towards, we've had games where we would kick their butts, but very rarely have we kicked Dallas's butt. Dallas plays us so incredibly hard and gives us such fits and has for as long as I can remember. I don't remember a game ever blowing them out. And I can pretty much think of
in recent memory, I can't think of one either.
And I don't know if it's like they've had coaching changes. When did Montgomery? Who's their coach?
Last year? They have Bonus went to Winnipeg. Oh my gosh. I see his face right now, clear as day, but I can't freaking remember. Here, let me look it up here, and then I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'm curious how many coaches they've had, and this is like a long way of saying. I just DeBoer, Jim Montgomery, Rick Bonus, DeBoer. So
Pete DeBoer, that's right.
That's since in the last 5 years, they've had 3 different coaches, and they've still seemed to give us the same fits every time. Granted, their core has been the same. Our core has been relatively the same, but there has been a lot of changes around both teams, and somehow they are just such a heavy team to play. And I don't know, it's almost like a mental thing, maybe, I don't know, but beating them feels really good, and it's not like a spiteful good. It's always just like a good, hard fought.
A relief type good, Yep, yeah. I get you. So yeah, that's definitely going to be one of out of the 3 games we're playing. That's one of the 2 that I'm looking forward to.
Has Robo been basically non-existent this year, hasn't he?
And Ali actually alluded to this here in the comments. I saw this one. Their big players have had slow starts. Most of them has been their second line and second pairing and stuff like that, and defensemen. So yeah, they might not hit you with their heavy hitters, but it's death by 1,000 cuts from everyone else.
Yeah, because they're still winning, but I have not seen anything from Robertson, and I love that kid. Love him. He is so fun to watch. But I don't think I've seen anything out of him this year or heard anything. Which, granted, like I said, there's not a lot of space to talk about literally anything other than Edmonton, but. It'd be nice
maybe that's
to
the problem.
Have a good win on them. Well, maybe they're, at a lower end, but they're probably saying the same thing about us. We're kind of at a lower spot, but yeah, if we can win these next 2 games, I truly feel like we set the tone for the rest of the year. Amongst ourselves.
I absolutely agree. Yep, I totally agree. Going into the next game then is Nashville. They're the very opposite record of us. So we're 10-5. They're 5-10. Struggling to get anything. They're having these up and coming players which are scoring goals from, good to hear for them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is one of those games where it's like, do what you need to do, win the game, move on.
They just like don't really have an identity. Like getting rid of Johansson and bringing in O'Reilly was so freaking weird. Like, it's so weird. Is Forsberg hurt? Do I remember that right? Is Forsberg on the IR for like a long time? LTIR maybe even? I might be wrong.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, can you see me?
There you
okay.
go.
Sorry.
Okay. No, you're good. But no, you're absolutely right. The identity crisis, I guess, is what they're having. Because, yeah, they have Ryan O'Reilly. They have names, so to
Kiefer Sherwood is a
really
mainstay on their roster this year. And I hear his name a lot. It's really weird, which he's just kind of a dirty little dog. So I think that might be most of it. But if that tells you, like, the state, Kiefer Sherwood, how long was he in our system? Like, seemed like forever. We called him up.
A few years, yeah.
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 And is Philip
I think
LTIR?
As not that I remember.
Luke Shen. God, that's just the weirdest roster ever.
Yeah.
And Saros is like a shell of what
he's not the same.
Because I mean, he was up there. It was kind of like Saros, Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, and Sorokin. Like, you know what I mean? I think people really thought that he was going to solidify himself, and now he's definitely not in that Shesterkin, Sorokin, Vasilevsky.
Yeah. Nope, I agree. And so, like I said, this should be one of those games where it's like, you know what you need to do. We don't need to go into depth. This is a team that you should be beating. Go and beat them, and let's go back to Denver with a win.
And I'd imagine we'll be playing Prosvetov. Wouldn't you think so?
That's where I would think you would in this type of situation, because your next opponent is the Canucks, who, like you said, they're going to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
come hell or high water.
Yeah.
They're playing outrageously good hockey. They are a very good team all of a sudden.
Weird.
So
weird.
that's my other marquee matchup that I'm very much looking forward to, because this is a team that we thought was rebuilding. All of a sudden they are rebuilt. You know what I mean?
So weird. And I'm a huge like Demko lover, so I hope that he can maintain this, because he definitely has had some mental health stuff.
Just not against the Avs, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he's kind of proof that once you're buzzing as a goalie and you're feeling good and you're feeling hot, the same goalie that was not even playable at times is now, Jack Campbell. He was near Jack Campbell's status last year, and now it's like next year he could. What is their record right now? It's ridiculous.
The Canucks are 12-3-1, which is amazing for them.
Weird. Especially when it's like everybody who said that the Oilers are going to win the Cup, and then Calgary is going to bounce.
By Oilers, I think they might have meant Canucks.
Oh, well, and the Oilers had to play the Canucks like 3 times, like in the first week of the season. It was so weird.
And lost all 3 as well, which is the funniest part. But
so the Canucks are playing the Flames right now, actually, which is weird.
Oh, are they?
Calgary is also crashing and burning, and they were supposed to take a big step up. Kadri has 3 points as of right now. It's so bad.
Yeah. But at the same time, this again, you're seeing players that are good in like Besser, Pedersen, Hughes, those types of guys, but all of a sudden they just moved up a tier, all of them this season. Kuzmenko, like you name it. So that's going to be one that I'm that one for me, the key to the game, or the thing that I'm going to watch is individual play. I want to know how they are, if they're beating their man off the rush, or if they're playing good defense man to man, if they're getting good poke checks, the individual play, because this Canucks team is made of now good players.
For sure. I mean,
so
Pedersen
that's what I'm going to look forward to.
I really hope that it should be a really good game, honestly. Like man for man, should be a relatively good game.
Should. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on then to our last segment, the 3 stars of the week. So this is based off of those 4 games that we talked about: the Kraken ×2, the Blues, and the Avalanche. Britt, do you want to start? Do you want me to start? How do you want to do this?
You can go.
Okay. So for my 3rd star, of the week, I'm going to give it to Val Nichushkin. Again, a 2-goal game. He had goals against the Kraken in both of those situations. He is forechecking very, very well. He's getting a body off of him whenever he has the puck, getting defenders away from him, creating good opportunities. I think 3rd star of the week. He is more than deserving of it.
Yeah.
In this situation. 2nd star of the week. This one was a lot tougher. But I think I'm going to give it to Ross Colton. He's going to get a 2nd week in a row of having a 3rd star or one of the 3 stars.
Yeah.
And simply because he's an adrenaline junkie, he's just one of those guys that you can see him working his tail off. He's putting in the effort. It's super amazing to see.
He's continually improving. I mean, he's adding more to his game every single game, I feel. And maybe the trajectory isn't like a straight up path, but I really feel like he seems to be excelling after every game. Something is changing a little bit because it's compared to at first where it was like, oh, I mean, he's okay, but he definitely didn't feel like it was going to be like this.
Yep. And then for the 1st star of the week, I'm going to give this to Joel Kiviranta, simply because you call him up, plays 2 games very, very well, and then has a 3-point night, one of them being a goal in 2 games with the Avalanche in a regular season. That's about as good a start as you can ask for anybody. So I'm going to give Joel Kiviranta the 1st star credit on this one. I was very impressed with what he's been doing. I look forward to seeing what else he can do, especially when we're rolling lines and our depth is scoring so they can get more chances, so we can see him more. I'm very interested to see what he can do, especially with his 4th line teammates and Logan O'Connor or Andrew Cogliano, Freddie Olofsson. He's making them look good as well, and that's always a plus to have. So 1st star of the week for me.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not far off of you. I've just I got 3rd star Duran just because I'm trying to manifest more.
He got a goal.
And that's what but the fact that, with the mental health struggles that he's had, the fact that he was able to keep fighting until he actually did break through and not entirely give up, which as much as he struggled this year, you wouldn't be that surprised if he did. And then I can't even talk. Kiviranta 2 and Ross Colton 1. I just like the vibes from Ross Colton. Like, I just think that he works so hard, and I love seeing it pay off so much. And then with Kiviranta too, like, hello, welcome to the team, which hopefully if we signing him was an indicator that we will be losing Lucky for a long time, that's reassuring that he's going to put out like that. So obviously a clutch guy too. So
I like I said, I like the depth, especially that 4th line. When they get cooking, it is so much fun to watch.
Yeah, well, and we're seeing Logan O'Connor get some, get rewarded with playing some 3rd line time. I mean, Logan O'Connor is truly having such an incredible season. He is
here's the thing,
hockey that he has ever played.
Yeah, and here's the thing with Logan O'Connor and really anyone, you could mix and match these lines now and be just fine. Like if Logan O'Connor was put on the 1st line, I'd be beyond happy and excited, but not surprised in the slightest. That's the beauty of having a depth team that can score.
Dynamic depth also. Logan O'Connor can skate with Logan McKinnon. Doesn't have the finishing power, doesn't have the IQ, but he can skate. I mean, we do have a very dynamic depth right now, which is so reassuring because I just don't want to be terrified of somebody getting hurt. We didn't all die on the inside thinking like, which NHL scrubber are we going to have to call up for Lucky being gone? It's like, well, which one is it going to be? Which one of all of these great choices that we have is going to come up?
Yep. Nope. That's absolutely right. So it's a great thing to have. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to perform in these next 3 games. So
we'll be probably either super pleased or super pissy next week.
Well, let's hope it's pleased, because I would like to enjoy a Thanksgiving dinner and not have it come back up because I just want to puke from how they were playing.
Man, I'm not even gonna get to watch the game. It's Wednesday night, right?
Yeah, they'll play Wednesday night.
Yeah, we've got blackout night Muskies game. I think it's the college night, so
Oh, very fun.
I extra wanted
to
tune in.
And speaking of next week, since it is Thanksgiving, we probably will not be doing an episode, is my guess. But if we do sneak something in, or maybe we discuss something, I don't know, but more than likely not, we won't have one. But
we'll see how
either way.
After
that's right. Either way, looking forward to these next 3 games for the week, and then I think that'll actually take care of us for the episode. Anything you got to add, Brit?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks again, everyone, for following us this episode. Appreciate everybody's comments. Sorry we couldn't get to everyone. If you like what you saw, please forget. Please don't forget.
Don't forget about every other
Don't forget us, please. I didn't mean it. Freudian slip, right?
Nope. Forget the others and remember us. And then just start pressing all of the thumbs that you can find that are positive on your screen.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Clusterpuck Podcast go live. You can follow them on the MHRT network on their various platforms. You can also follow us specifically at the Clusterpuck Podcast on Facebook, and then the Clusterpuck Avs on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. With that being said, hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Eat plenty of food, get plenty stuffed. Let's hope the Avalanche win the week, go 3-0, multiple point wins. And I think that's
all the good things.
All the good things. Anything that's good that happens to the Avalanche, we're here for.
Nice slippery creases.
There you go. And as always, everybody, take care and go Avs go.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute,